All right, so in this video, I'm gonna explain the timing chain cover bolts and how they lay out in respect to the front plate. So the engine has a front plate that connects. It smashes this front bearing here, and it allows for a mounting place for the cam retaining bracket. So anyway, this front plate right here. I have it painted here so you can see where the timing chain cover will go. Timing chain, the two sprockets will come out of these two holes right here, and they connect, and then the tensioner goes right here. So these bolts, 1, 2, 3, these little tiny bolts, see these right here, they screw into, there's a you see this is tapped across the bottom here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. These are they're small little screws. They don't even interact with the engine block at all. This bolt goes through the front plate and into the engine block right here, right there. This one goes through the plate and it goes into the engine block right here. And this one right here goes through and goes to the engine block right there. And then this one right here, it goes through and it goes into the engine block right here. This one right next to it goes through, does not interact with the timing chain cover at all, and it goes through and it goes into the engine block right there. So when you're putting this plate on, you have this bolt right here, which would go right in this hole right here, right? And then you have this bolt right here, which will go through this bracket right here. Then you have this one, which goes right here. Those hold the plate in. So you have basically 1, 2, 3 bolts that these don't interact with before you even put the timing chain cover on. So you have those 3 bolts that hold the front plate on, and then these bolts right here for the camshaft retaining bracket, they go through and into the engine block as well. So you can put those in and have a gasket behind there, and then still not have the timing chain cover, because that all these other bolts will either go through but they interact with either the block or the timing chain cover. So I'm going to go ahead and set this thing in place and put the gasket in, and we'll pick it up from there. All right, so you can see here I've taken a light marker and I've marked the inside of where the gasket goes. I'm going to put some gasket dressing on there, but it's really important. This hole right here is part of the oil flow. You don't want to put any kind of anything in there, so you'll see on the gasket there's a gap for that, but specifically that hole right there, don't get any kind of gasket filler or any silicone or anything in there. Again, I'm just using dressing. Dressing does not get hard, and it'll stay soft and pliable while I put this piece on, and then later on when I put the timing belt, the timing chain cover on there, that sealer, that dressing will be pliable enough to increase the seal rather than create a leak. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll pick up from there. There you can see I got some dressing on there. I got a liberal amount across the top here where that cork gasket is. I've got none covering this hole, although the gasket has a little bit of a gap on there. You'll also notice that there's a hole right here. That hole right there is where the oil comes from this gallery across over to the timing chain tensioner. So that's where it gets its oil right there. So you don't want to put anything on that. You want to make sure that that's clear. All right, going to go ahead and put the front plate on with those bolts, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay, I got those 3 bolts in. They're hand tight. I haven't torqued them in or nothing yet. They're just sitting there hand tight. Those 3, 1, 2, 3. They hold the plate in without the interference of the timing chain cover. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this camshaft. You see this little wear pattern right here? That wear pattern meets up with the copper side of this plate. You can see there's a little groove right there. I left it shiny. It's all nice and oily, but I'm going to go ahead and put some assembly oil in there as well. This back side is where the sprockets will. This wear mark here is where the sprockets would rub. But the camshaft will rub in this brass area, and that is kind of a rudimentary bearing surface for that. And it will go, I guess, kind of like this. There you go, right like that. All right, and then that's all the bolts that hold the front plate in without the timing chain cover. All right, all torqued up, all tightened up. You can see there's still 2 screws that go in once you put the timing chain cover on that are going to gather up this cork gasket and compress that. But even with these 2 bolts torqued up on the outside edges, this gasket's tight enough, or this plate is strong enough to compress that gasket. And you see there's nothing going to get out of there. So that's a good oil seal. Down here I've got the camshaft bracket on. It's got some assembly oil in there, so when we put the new timing chain sprockets on, this will pull it tight, and it'll engage the bearing surface. You can see the hole for the tensioner lines up. The hole that was on this side that feeds that, you can see that's closed off now because of this little plate. So that'll be a source of oil for this side of the camshaft. And they're actually right on the inside of this. When you connect it, there's a slinger that will throw oil as well inside this timing chain cover. So there you go, all done. That is a front plate installation on 1977 MGB 18V type engine.